Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Early Learning Roundtable. Today, we have a bunch of really awesome special guests available here, and we have Lori Moore from English Workbooks, Morgan Schoenacker from Established at Home Co., Ericia Trainer from Lil'Iguanas Kids Safety Foundation, Jasmine from the Homeschool Quest here, and Heather Schwarz from Knowable World. We also have Selena Flood from preschoolhomeschoolcurriculum.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I'm going to get things started by asking for you to all share your early learning tip. Let's go ahead and start with Lori since you joined first.
Okay, my early learning tip has to do with teaching kids emotions to help them understand that it's human and help them identify emotions. And you can start this as early as age 2. And the idea is start with, of course, not the real complex, multifaceted emotions we experience as we grow older, but sadness, anger, being scared, or happy and excited. I do have this book that it's by Joe Wittick and illustrated by Christine Rousey, and I strongly would recommend this book for kids, probably actually up to 6, or it's just really, it's well written, and from a child's point of view, it's beautifully illustrated, and it follows a child through these basic emotions. And I just wanted to say that it starts out by, my heart is full of feelings, big feelings and small feelings, loud feelings and quiet feelings. My heart is like a house with all these feelings living inside. I have another tip if we have time for that.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
So these, my daughter-in-law got for her little son, who's, well, too young right now. He's 20 months old, but these are called, let's see, what are they actually called? I don't want to mispronounce it. Komishis. And
They're so cute.
And so this is a little guy that's showing excited. So on the back, it shows the emotion. And here's one that's sad. So not only do they recognize it in themselves, but by learning, they recognize these emotions in other people and can become more comfortable with it. And according to the experts that I've been reading, psychologists feel that, some that have been quoted, feel that this can reduce anxiety. And in a world like we have now, that's a good thing. Here's mad. And this is more a state of, this is more a state of being than an emotion, but this is sleepy. And it goes on. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you for sharing your tip. Morgan, do you have a tip for us on like learning early? And like this can be before pre-K, this can be pre-K. Do you have some tips for teaching little kids?
Yes. I would say one of the best and easiest things to do is to just read high quality books. The curriculum that I create is from the Charlotte Mason perspective, and there's a term called living books, which just means high quality classic stories that you enjoy reading and that are worth reading to your children. So I would say just reading books, making that a routine throughout the day. Off the top of my head, some popular living books for preschool age would be things like Corduroy. Let's see what else. I guess Goodnight Moon. I guess off the top of my head, I can't think of like some of the older Curious George books. I've got lists on my website, but you can also look up living book lists for preschoolers and you'll see tons of options. So I'd say that would be one of my top tips is just reading high quality books.
Well, we just did a workshop yesterday about the history of sight words versus phonics, and it was really interesting. One of the tips that she said helped a ton is actually doing read alouds while you're teaching them phonics so that they have an understanding of what these words mean without going through word lists and doing like sight words so that they have that organic understanding. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, you can get a taste for language and the beauty of language too by hearing good words and good sentences written by good authors.
So, Erica from Lil'Iguanas Kid Safety Foundation, please share your early learning tip.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erica. I'm from the Lil'Iguanas Children's Safety Foundation. We help educate and empower kids to be safe, happy, healthy, and kind through music and interactive-based programs and resources. So our tip is to make it fun and to make it so that your child doesn't even know that they're learning. By including music or movement or play learning. And I know that we're going to be talking a lot about play learning during this roundtable because with young learners as well as adult learners, we love to play and we love to have fun. So by including some music or some movement or involving the senses in different ways, whether it's seeing it, building it, singing or dancing about it, reading a story about it, or having a snack related to it, something that is going to be fun and not make your child feel like they're learning, because we know that children learn best when they don't know that they're actually learning.
So, Heather, what is your early learning tip? I know you do Knowable World, so that's a lot going into more like history and things like that.
Yeah, that's right. So Noble World is history for sure. And so our program starts in about kindergarten. And even when we do start, it's really gentle because, you know, kids at that age, they don't need, and when I say they don't need very much, like they need almost none of sitting down and doing what looks like school learning, right? Maybe when they're 5 or 6, they're ready to do a little bit of reading or a little bit of math, that kind of thing. But before that, it's really all, it just looks like living. And so my favorite tip, my favorite thing to tell parents with kids this age is that now is the time for you to learn. Now is the time when you can be picking out the books that you want to read, brushing up on any subjects that you feel nervous about teaching or you're not too sure of your own level of education in those subjects, or even something like the reading wars. Now is the time to research into that a little bit and see where you feel like you fit and how you want to approach it. And not only does that get you ready for teaching when your kids are a little bit older, but it also is a really powerful modeling for your kids. If they see you taking time in your day to learn and you tell them, you know, right now I'm learning, right now I'm going to open a book, a real book, because they don't know what you're doing if you're just on your phone. But if it's a real book, you know, you can say, look, learning is really important to me. Reading is really important to me. And that models that, and it also starts to build a routine and their expectation around it so that when they're a little bit older, they expect for that to be part of their routine and they're going to, you know, to some degree want to do what you do. So that makes it easier then for you to help them start to learn more as they become ready for it.
So, I have some questions that have been asked here in the group about early learning. So, I'm going to ask you guys, and I would love to hear your different perspectives on these questions. So, a lot of people ask, what subjects should kids be learning in pre-K and kindergarten? Because I know some people will start and they want to teach them everything. What are the top subjects you feel that should be included in your pre-K or kindergarten? These could be like subjects people don't think about too.
I think it's introduction to language. I think the very, very basics of ABCs in the pre-K and being comfortable with the spoken word. And also, then as that progresses, introducing what you were talking about, your workshop yesterday, or about learning about when phonics versus sight words should be used. Both of those, I think, are necessary to some extent, one over the other. Of course, as phonics becomes more important as the children, like this is like pre-reading, and then as they grow older, they would become more proficient in learning blends and all of those other intricacies of English per se.
So, a tip that I saw somebody do that I thought was super brilliant is they actually printed out little sticker labels and they put them on regular household things. So, they labeled their mirror, mirror, they labeled their doors, door. And so, they were able to teach all of these different words to their kid just by them interacting with their environment. And they would play different games with sounding out the different words. And so, their kid knew a ton of everyday words and how to read them just through going through their day. And I thought that was like brilliant.
Yeah, that really is. I loved that idea too.
It is great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at that age,
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's all about those basic skills and life skills, like even motor skills are so important at that age, and I think is something that's overlooked sometimes when we're kind of, rushing ahead to the academics, but they need to build those motor skills. So like folding face cloths, perfect activity for a 3 or 4-year-old, right? And it takes all their concentration and they're working on those motor skills and they're doing something with you that's like really important and helpful. So I think things like that are building skills that they need to do the academics later, but they don't necessarily need to be doing them at that time.
Train track.
I like how Heather mentioned life skills because at Lil'Iguana, we are all about safety and well-being for kids, and our programs start as young as age 2. So we're teaching the basics of stranger danger, harm alarm, which is that funny feeling you get inside, and we're giving the tools and the language on how to verbalize and have conversations about what may be happening when they're outside of the home.
So, what kind of play-based learning activities do you find to be effective that really engage little kids?
Well, I know that one that my kids loved a lot when they were little is dice. When they were 3 or 4 years old, dice and playing cards, like you can do so much with those, and it's just playing. It's almost nothing. They're just rolling dice, and it's even, okay, which ones match? Okay, which one's bigger? Oh, I win. It's bigger, and it just becomes a game. And there's really nothing to it at all. It doesn't cost hardly anything, and it's so easy, and it's just fun.
I'd say one thing that my children have enjoyed, which you just base it on what your kids like. For example, my boys love trains. So we've done so much learning with sorting colors of trains and sizes of trains and counting trains and subtracting trains and acting out word problems. So you could do that with stuffed animals or other little toys, kitchen items that your children have. And just while you're playing, you just sprinkle in some questions and activities. And when I'm doing something like I start sorting the trains by colors, my kids will just join me and want to participate. And it's so cute later on seeing how they'll copy me by themselves or go organize things like that by themselves.
Yeah, patterns are another one that's really good at that age that you can do with literally anything. You can set the table and make a pattern. You can, just say something out loud, something silly, and make a pattern. And it's so good for their literacy and their numeracy, for all those things.
So, I've seen a lot of people do these like sensory bins, and I think those are like super fun and a great way to be able to build kind of fine motor skills and, like you were saying, pattern recognition. There's like so many different options available for you to be able to either purchase or do at home. I mean, a lot of people are like, my kid just likes playing with the Tupperware, trying to match all the lids. So there's a lot of different ways that you can be able to include sensory experiences in your kids' early learning. And I think that that's something that's important to remember is that you don't always need something fancy. You can just make some cookies. And that's already going to be teaching them so many different skills. You're going to be talking about fractions. You're going to be building fine motor skills. And it's a lot of bonding time. So do you guys have any recommendations for early learning apps? This is a question that gets asked a lot in the group.
Well, there are the standard education.com workbooks, things as long as you can print them out and they can feel real. I think kids get a lot of time with electronics these days, and anything that you can steer them, anytime you can steer them away from that is good.
Yeah, for sure.
Color.
Probably my kid's favorite app, though, if they're going to be on electronics, which I totally agree that, you know, it can easily be overdone and you want to be off it. But if you're going to be on it at 3, honestly, YouTube, which sounds funny, but there are so many good things on there, like so many learning songs, and, you know, you've got to be careful. You've got to kind of, you know, use the kids app or watch what they're watching for sure. You don't want to let them wander around the internet, but if you get a good curated list of good things, they can learn so much. And they love it and they want to watch, you know, the same things, and they get a lot out of it.
Is anyone familiar with Danny Go?
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Okay. You were just, Heather, what you said reminded me. That's what my youngest grandson is just intrigued by it. It's
fun.
this man who used to be a video producer. I don't remember which company it was, but now he's doing his own thing, and he's always dancing and teaching colors and teaching all kinds of things. And anyway, it's fun. You might want to look into it. A little plug for Danny.
I'm a little out of touch on what they're watching nowadays, but my kids aren't 3 anymore. But that's fun.
So a lot of people ask, how do you introduce these academic subjects in a way that still makes it so that that you're encouraging learning and it's meaningful, but that they still get to be a kid? Especially if they're really young and they're not really ready for pre-K, but they have a want to learn, but they don't want to force their kid or make them hate learning. Do you guys have any tips on how to be able to include learning kind of in your everyday life, in play?
I think we kind of mentioned it a little bit, but like patterns with the setting the dining table or sorting trains or just the play learning, especially with like music on YouTube Kids. I think all of those different aspects of just incorporating it naturally and not as part of like a structured routine. I think that's really important for a parent to like notice those opportunities and take advantage of them as they come up, as opposed to having a structured lesson plan for a pre-K or kindergarten age child. It just doesn't seem realistic. You know, sometimes nap times change, sometimes meltdown times change. So we can't have a 9 a.m. pattern sorting thing every day at 9 a.m. So I think it's going with the flow and taking advantage of those opportunities as they come up.
One thing for language and phonemic awareness, when you're with your little ones, just going in the car, going on walks, just mentioning rhyming words and be like, oh, tree, bee, or sounding things out like, oh, there's a tree, tree. What else starts with the t sound? And just kind of making that part of your living. I don't know. It's like a game. My dad used to do that in the car with us. He would tell us, like, give me 5 words that rhyme with cat. So I don't know. It just became a fun, enjoyable memory. So now I can see my 5-year-old sounding out words sometimes, and we don't really sit down to we don't do word building curriculum yet, but he's just enjoying as we're learning about letters and sounds informally throughout our day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the best things you can do for kids, like from 0 really, is talk out loud about what you're doing and really bring them along with you with whatever you're doing. You know, if you're deciding what to have for dinner, like verbalize that, and that helps them to follow along and hear what you're saying, and, you know, put the things in order that you have to think about, and or whatever it is. And also just follow their lead, because, you know, if they wander away and don't want to do something, okay, well, you know, you can drop that because they're so little. You don't need to make them learn something. But if they come and ask a question, which we all know at that age they do 50 million times a day, so that's every single one of those is an opportunity to meet them where they're at and to teach them something that they want to know.
And parents know the cues so well when your child has lost interest, or when you've successfully got the interest going, knowing what the child's interests are, and you can build on that, like Morgan was saying about the, I think that's fantastic. The car ride and just working it into everyday life. And then it's a mention here and a mention there, and it does accumulate over time.
I definitely agree. So I'd like to hear a little bit about different resources that you have available for parents with little kids. So if you guys want to share about one resource and then drop a link in the comments after the live so people can have access to it, that would be awesome. We did have a scheduling mishap where Alicia DeVore from Create My Garden wasn't able to attend, but she made a super awesome freebie for everyone here. And so I'm going to drop a link in the comments to her preschool gardening pack. She's offering that for free to everyone who watches the video.
Okay, I guess I'll start. Okay, so I said that I create Charlotte Mason style resources, and now I am totally on board with the fact that preschoolers and even young kindergartners do not need formal curriculum. But I also was a second grade teacher for many years, and I love the structure and guideline of just having something there for the day. If we don't get to it, great. If we just do a little bit, that's fine. Well, I have 3 weeks free from my preschool curriculum that's Charlotte Mason style. It's very gentle learning, lots of outside time, living books, very gentle phonics, baking, crafts, art, music, lots of just little things to make it super simple. It's actually called A Sweet and Simple Year in Preschool because I wanted it to be simple for parents to just sift through and pick what works for them. So I'll put a link to that in the comments.
Thank you. Erica, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about Lil'Iguanas and some of the resources that you have available for parents.
Sure. So I think I spoke a little bit about this in my intro, but for those who may be joining late, Lil'Iguanas Children's Safety Foundation educates and empowers kids to be safe, happy, healthy, and kind. And we have music-based resources and programs for home and for classroom use. So we have a lot of co-ops and like pods that use our program, and we actually have in-person programming that goes in with our costume character, Lil'Iguana, and an educator, and we teach important safety and well-being lessons like stranger danger and how to cross the street and buckling up your seatbelt. But we also teach social emotional learning and hand washing and being a good friend. So we have over 20 safety and well-being lessons that we teach. And something that we have available for homeschool parents of pre-K all the way up to ages 10 plus is our Safety Up digital membership. And that is great for families or for homeschool groups to use. It has access to hundreds of ready-to-use printables or activities and worksheets that are all surrounding those 20 lessons that we have. So we have a little resource library that you can like search for a specific lesson, or you can search for a specific worksheet or activity style that you're looking for. We have recipes and crafts and incorporating that play-based learning so that children don't really know that they're learning. They're listening to music, they're watching a video that we've produced, or they're making a recipe related to some of the lessons that we have. So we have our Safety Up digital membership, and it includes that online resource library. You also get a monthly action plan emailed to you because we know that you're busy and you don't have time to compile all of these resources and make your plan every month, especially for life skills like these safety and well-being lessons that we're teaching. So you have enough time to maybe do like your traditional curriculum, but all these extra things, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start, because who is a stranger? You know, a lot of people don't really know how to teach that. So we have action plans and lesson plans ready to be downloaded. And then we also have a supportive Facebook group community that you can join and get your questions answered once a month with Lil'Iguana educators and our SEL specialists. So that is our digital membership that preschool all the way up to ages 10 plus, we have different levels and different worksheets and printables for each age group.
So Heather, share a little bit about Knowable World.
Sure. So Knowable World is, well, we started out as a K-2, but it looks like we're going to be going further than grade 2 eventually. But so far we have one level ready, and it is history. We cover history, social studies, and geography, really, all three of those things. And so our first level that's available now is basically kindergarten, we call it. So, you know, if you've got a 4-year-old who's really looking around the world and asking a lot of big questions, then they might be ready for it. Or if you've got a 6-year-old, or, you know, whatever you kind of consider kindergarten, and you're ready to do a little bit of work with them, it's about half an hour a week, each lesson. And you can split it up. We've got ways within the program that you can split it into a few days a week, or you can just do it once for half an hour. And our approach to the subject is that history is all about looking around at the world around you and understanding how the world came to be the way it is. That's what history really is. It's not just a bunch of disconnected stories about the past. Stories are great, but that's not really what history is. History is about understanding the world that we live in. And so for kindergarten especially, our level is all about looking around at the facts of the world that are around them, the clothes that we wear, the food that we eat, things like that, and then our lesson guides you in helping them think about that and helping them see that as part of a story of how the world came to be the way that it is today, and to see themselves as part of that story. So yeah, so I see it in the chat there. We're at knowableworld.com. The subscription for our lessons is $10 a month, and then you can use them as often as you like. And we also have 3 available for free as a free preview that you can download and try them out.
I went ahead and dropped a link to everyone's curriculum. Oh, and it looks like, Morgan, you went ahead and dropped a link to your the Charlotte Mason style curriculum. Awesome. Thank you. So, Lori, do you have any call to action or freebie that you wanted to offer to everyone?
Well, I do have some very specific worksheets, and that would be, again, English, about nouns, pronouns, that sort of thing. I'm hoping this year to greatly increase the number of worksheets.
So I went ahead and dropped a link to your website so everyone can go ahead and check that out. That is EnglishWorkbooks.com, and I put the link in the comments there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This has, I think, been a really educational roundtable. Do you guys have any last things you want to say before we say goodbye?
It's great to meet everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to having you guys join us on another roundtable.
Awesome.